right, guys, so here's the video that we're going to possibly track. I chose this video because we got some moving objects here in the background, and I think it'll be a good challenge. I'm going to put something here, how we can get a good track with other things moving in the background. Now, one reason I also chose this when I shot this, I purposely was thinking of these right here as tracking markers. Like, I was like, you know what? These could be perfect tracking markers for me. They're already in the scene. I don't have to worry about cropping them out. So hopefully we can use those. They're high contrast. So thinking about the track before I even, do the track. So I was like, you know what, this is a good area. So let's go ahead and see if we can add something here. Let's just get into, all right, so I'm in a fresh file here. What I'm going to do is go into video editing tab here, just so we can convert our video. I'm going to go ahead and import my video in. And for me, I already know where it's at. Go ahead and add movie. Boom, my video is imported. I want to set my in frames. I have 336 here, and I'm going to go ahead and type 336. And then from here, I'm also going to change my dimensions, 1080 by 1920 FPS. I think I was at 30 FPS. I wasn't sure, but I think we're going to leave it at FPS. I'm going to change my output from MPEG. I'm going to do OpenEXR files because they hold the most data. I'm going to go to half float. Then I'm going to set that to DWAA lossless. And then again, I'm going to save that into my folder where I want my output files to be. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to give it a name. I like to just call it plate _ hashtag. So it can put the frame numbers on the end of the file, which is really helpful. I forgot to rotate the video. Just go rotate, press R, 90, enter. And now it should be set, and let's go ahead and render out our file again, render animation. All right, boom, that is finished. Now I'm back in my original startup file here. So quickly, what we're gonna do here is jump into the motion tab. Make sure you go to a new file. I always just like to start clean. New file, go to motion tracking, and let's go ahead and import in our sequence. Boom, got my sequence is in and imported. Let's go to our settings quickly, set it up. I'm on cycles. I got GPU set up. Make sure we click down on where is it at, film. Make sure transparent is checked, which I've already set up here. And color management, we're all pretty much good. I got filmic here, whatever. That's not a big deal. We can change that later. Go into our dimensions here. Again, 1080 by 1920, 30 FPS, which is what I think I rendered out. We'll do that, but it's individual frames now, so it really doesn't matter, but just 30 FPS. Excuse me. And then let's go to in frame. What was it? 336. 336 was our in frame. Good to go. Then I'm going to go ahead and save my output folder right now while we're here. All right, boom. I got my folders. Everything is saved inside one area so I don't have to look for files later on. We've got that set up. Now what we're going to do here is go ahead and hit set scene frames, which we already did. Prefetch it into the hard drive. Grab a cup of your favorite nomimono. Nomimono is Japanese for drink. So we'll learn a little bit of Japanese in this lesson here. You say why? Because I live in Japan. That's why. And I am currently studying Japanese. So you are too. Boom. That is done. Owata. Finished. Now, we already analyzed our track a little bit and we knew what kind of track we're moving. It's really kind of like, it's not a tripod pan. We got some parallax happening and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do here, let's go ahead and drop in our tracks. I'm going to go deep. Actually, I'm going to change tracking settings to blurry footage. Then I'm going to scroll down to normalize. Then I'm going to scroll down to correlation, set that to 0.9. And then I'm going to probably select perspective for my motion model here because it's kind of, I know, I just use it. Detect features, and it's got some features here, but actually let's go ahead and undelete that. Let me go ahead and in X delete. There is movement going on here in our background, right? That will affect our track tremendously, right? That's like gonna give us way crazy errors. So the way we fix that, I only want to track in this area here. I don't want to track in that background area. So what I'm going to do here is go down to adaptation, go to draw. This is back up. Actually, I'm already fine. This is fine. Let's just go ahead and make a circle right around here and there, right? And then what I'm going to do is go back to tracks, and then I'm going to go detect features. And then you're going to scroll this tab down and it says placement whole frame. No, I say inside adaptation area. Now it puts our trackers right inside of there. Okay. And that's what I want it to do. So from here, we'll go ahead and track forward. Let's get our tracking on. Remember, Control T, track forward. Bada bing, here we go. All right, cool. We lost a lot of tracks, but that's, actually we didn't lose a lot. We lost a few. Again, here's our adaptation area. If your footage is different, you can just go ahead and go to adaptations, go to erase, click on the eraser, and just erase that whole thing. I wish there was a quicker way to do that. There might be. If you know how to just quickly hit a button and delete that, let me know. But okay, we'll redraw here. And then I'll go down here to draw and redraw your adaptation. Boom. And then again, go back to tracks. Again, detect features. Actually, let me do undo. Undo. I'm going to deselect those tracks right there. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and select those tracks again and press H to hide them. There we go. Now, again, I'm going to go ahead and detect features. And same thing, Control Shift T to track backwards. All right, that is complete. Let's go in the middle. I'm going to go to about 140. Select trackers, hide trackers. Same thing, adaptation, draw it in. I'm gonna get a little bit more of the background this time now because I know the cars are right there. So like maybe even this part here, add trackers. No, not markers, sorry. Add trackers. So we got our trackers in and same thing. Let's track forward, Control T. That's done. H to hide the tracks. Let's go back to 140, right about there. Detect features and then track backwards, Control Shift T. All right, boom, that is done. And I think we're looking good. If anything, is there anything really worth trying to track in that background area? Because the main area is going to be right here. I'll probably throw something here. I haven't decided yet, but I just wanted to get the track done. So I think we'll be able, let's go ahead and solve it and see what we can do here as far as what kind of information we're going to get. I'm going to go back. There it is. Let's go ahead and delete the adaptation erase. All right, and let's solve now. Let's match it up. Now, again, I was shooting with my cell phone, so I don't really know. I mean, I do, but I'm just assuming that you don't know exactly what your camera specs were. If you didn't, you come in here and put all that camera jibber jabber in, but we're going to go ahead and skip that, right? Because we'll let Blender do it for us. So let's come over here to solve. Again, it's not a tripod track, right? Go ahead and bring back all of our tracks. Press there. Alt H brings back all of our tracks. And now we need to find the pattern here. We need to find our keyframe AB pattern. We can let Blender do it, but I just like to do it myself because I kind of know we're just looking for a good parallax. Where's some good parallax happening? And I think it might be kind of right about here. So kind of like frame, what is that? 201. I'm going to say 201 to like there. I'm just looking for these lines that are kind of stretching out pretty good, especially when we're going sideways. 209, 258. Turn on our refine quadruplets. We want all those three turned on. Let's go ahead and save because Blender is very temperamental sometimes. All right, we're all saved and ready to go. And let's go ahead and hit solve camera motion. All right, boom, right off the back, first time we're at a 3.2 solve error, which is not great, but we know what we need to do to make it great, right? So let's come down. Before that, let's just see. I did 201 to 258. Let me just see and go to auto keyframes and see where Blender does. Wow, big difference. I let Blender do it. Blender chose 149 to 289. So I was kind of close, but it got a lot more. It took a little longer too. But now look at our solve error. 0.85 already straight out of the box. That's really good. So I'm still going to refine this a little bit. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to scroll that down a little bit there. And we got some, we got a couple of them here that are in the 20s. Yeah, we can get rid of some of that stuff here. Let me go ahead and make this area bigger because this is what we're working on right now. What I'm going to do is go down here and I'm going to click on clean up. And then we're going to go anything that's over a 10, select it, delete it, and go ahead and hit clean filters. Boom. So it deleted that. Now let's go ahead and save and resolve. All right, so that puts us at a 3.1 right off the back there. And I kind of find that a little hard to believe. It was a little too easy for this track, but let's see. One thing I wanted to change was I'm going to turn off keyframes now because I want these to be set. We know that's a good area, so Blender won't keep calculating those. I just turned that off. It says it's at a 3.1, and any of you guys who follow me on this channel, you know that's my golden number for a track. I like to get stuff down to a 3.1. So let's go ahead and quickly, let's match move it. Let's set it up. Look down here at our line. Our blue line is looking nice and solid and smooth there. There were still a couple of rogue tracks that I probably could have pulled out, right? Like these three here or four. You can see they're clearly not in line with the rest of the pattern here. And let's go back over here to our solver. We got a couple of 9s, but let's not mess with it. Why do more work if we don't have to? So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and set up our scene here. Let's set up our scene. Scroll down to here, and I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and bring back the camera. I'm going to jump into this scene here. And I already have a camera here. I'm going to go ahead and delete that camera one more time there. And then I'm going to bring in a new camera, fresh camera. I'm going to go ahead and set as background. set up tracking scene. Now, if we jump into our camera there, we can see it's in the background. That's working properly. Before we get into this, I like to make a proxy because if we try to play this back right now, let me go to layout, zoom into our camera, we hit play. Look at our frame rate. Our frame rate is 5 frames per second. This is like, we can't tell if the track is working properly. So let's go ahead and go back to motion tab. Let's make a proxy. If we come over here to footage, we turn on this proxy button, scroll that down. I want to go ahead and just make a 50% undistorted. It says build undistorted. I just do 50% build proxy, and that's going to make a lower quality video for us to slap on the background to get a better playback. All right, so that is finished. So let's go ahead and jump into our layout tab. Let's go ahead and jump into, click on our camera, and then I'm going to scroll down to background images, scroll that down. And then what we're going to do here, this little tab says proxy renders. Let me pull this out so we can see it a little bit better. Proxy renders set to none. It's showing the full render. We want to go to 50%. Now if we hit play, bada bing, 31 FPS, more than what we were 30 FPS. So we can clearly see our scene needs to be aligned, right? We need to do the match move. All right, so the first thing to do for our match move here, let's jump back over to motion tab. Let's set our point of origin, basically the God position of our whole scene here. And I would say roughly something here in the center. Let's say right there, that looks good. Set origin. And then we're gonna need 3 other ones for our ground plane. I'm gonna go 1, 2, and then I'm gonna show us our origin again, 3, basically making a triangle. We got 3 of them. And then I'll say set that as my floor. So now let's go jump back into our layout and see how it's looking now. All right, not too bad. A little bit of floating going on there, but that's all right. We're gonna try to get this to line up properly, okay? Oh man, I totally forgot something, guys. I totally forgot something, but I'm not gonna change it because our track is solid. When we were doing our track, when we were matching our camera setup, I forgot to change it from auto to horizontal. It should have been on horizontal. Fighting to get that camera like we were fighting to get the focal length right, we wouldn't have had to do that. Like if I totally forgot to put that on horizontal. If you watch my past videos, I always change that and I forgot to do that. So we did a lot more work than we had to do. Obviously with the way my guy's position, you can tell it's kind of weird, right? So let's just go click on my camera. What is this called? Transform pivot. I'm going to turn that to 3D cursor position. What I want to do here is I want to kind of line this up. I'm going to go rotate Z and just rotate this to turn this around. I want him to face me, right? Something like that. Clearly here, let's go ahead and turn on some tracker markers. Go down here, tracking markers, so we can see that. Okay, let me quickly jump out of the camera here and see what's going on. Ground is definitely lined up pretty solidly. Okay, so what I want to do is go ahead and click on this ground plane. I'm going to press H to hide that. And let's get this guy here a little bit more centered up. Again, selecting the camera, rotate Z, and get these grid lines. I'm going to try to line them up with the grid lines on the actual street here. Something like that. That's looking pretty good. Let me go GX and just kind of get him more centered up. And these lines, just kind of see if they're really lining up pretty well. And they look like they're doing pretty good there. Maybe rotate ZX again. I mean, rotate on the Z, but the scale is definitely off. So we're going to need to get the scaling back. Let's go back to motion tracking. And unfortunately, I didn't march off or see how big, like what I should have did was see how far the spacing was feet wise. Like just take my feet and go 1, 2, 3, pace it off to find out how far it was foot wise. So we're just going to have to kind of guess it. So we need to select 2 points. Let's just select maybe these 2 points here. Set distance, apply scale, set scale. Alrighty, and if I can clearly see here, it went smaller. So I don't think we want to do that. We want to probably go bigger. So let's go like half of that, 0.5, set scale. Okay, he gets a little bit bigger. Let's go even maybe like 0.4, set scale. All right, let's jump back and see what this is looking like. Oh, and that's really off now. It's really floating around. Glad we're having this issue on this one, so we can figure out how to deal with this. So going up bigger obviously made it worse. So let's go 1.5 set scale. It's looking a little bit better, but not that better. Let me go 2, apply scale. Then let's jump back into layout, jump into the camera. Nope, still a little floaty. Okay, sometimes then what we need to do is play with the focal length. So let's click on our camera. Our focal length's at a 58. I'm gonna go 22. No, undo. All right, let's just scroll it down. Let's scroll it up a little bit. Got worse. Let's scroll it down. Got a little bit better. Scroll it down even more. Oh, went too far. Sorry. It's a little bit floaty still. Scroll it down even a little bit more. It's getting tighter. Scroll it down even a little bit more. Still a little bit slippy. Okay, I think we might be there. 35. I'm going to round it off to a 35 millimeter. Let's see. Still see a little bit of slip. 35. Let's go 34. Oh, I think the 34 is sitting really tight. I'm going to go 33. I'm going to push it till it slips off, and then we know we're in the right zone. 33 is still sitting pretty tight. I'm not really seeing any slip here. And what I'm looking at is his feet here. I'm looking at his feet and this green line and this red line compared to the actual footage. Okay, now we can see we got some slipping happening. See the slipping? So we know we went too far. So let's go back to 33. Matter of fact, and also let me go GX with the camera selected. I want to get this green line lined up right here. So this is everything is lined up. And let's see what that's looking like. All right, boom. So I think that's it. We're looking solid. So again, these are some of the things that you may have to do to get your camera to match the actual footage. Once we got the data and how it's moving around, we just need to fidget it and get it to match in, and then we know we're set up here. So I think we're good for the match move. All right, so from here, now what I'm going to do, let's actually see if we can go back and change our scaling and see how that affects, because this guy is set for human size. He is a little bit small in this compared to the scene. He'd probably be like a child, right? Let's just see. Again, this is something I probably don't do by myself. So I'm experimenting with you guys to see. Let's take this back up to let's just go to 1. Let's see what happens when we're at 1. We're at 0.4. Let's go to 1. No, 1 is too small. Again, 0.2. Now he's a giant. 0.3. 0.3 looks about right. Go back to layout. And let's see, did that affect our camera match move? No, it's solid as a rock. Look at that. Hardly no slip. Solid as a rock. Bum, bum, bum. That's looking great, guys. That is looking really great. Now we need to set it up. Now we need to test out our track to see how solid it really is. So what I'm going to do here quickly, let me jump out of the camera. I want to build up this ground really quickly here. And let's do something I normally don't do either too. I normally would just bring in a plane and do it that way. But I'm going to click on background, right? We already got a plane here. Here's our plane, right? This is the one that came with it. But what I want to do is delete that plane. And what I'm going to do, we got all of our tracking data here. Look, see all these little points? This is already built to the scene, right? So let's go ahead and take advantage of that. Let's come back here to motion tracking. And what I'm going to do, let's get rid of some of these that we don't need right now. I don't need to see this one here anymore. Right? And this one here on the top, I don't need to see this one anymore. Just these two is fine. So what I want to do is take some of these tracks and put them to geometry. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this one, maybe one back here, one here, one here. And what I'm going to do with these selected, I'm going to go to geometry and I'm going to say 3D markers to mesh. And now what that did was, you see here on our background, it says tracks. Let's jump back over to our layout. And in our layout here, we need to go to edit mode, go into edit mode on tracks. Make sure you have tracks selected and press 1 to be in the vertex mode. And now you can see all the points that we selected, right? Go ahead and hit F. Make sure they're selected and highlight, hit F. And what that did was it just basically put in our ground plane that was built off the data that we had inside there, right? This is a quick and easy way that you know your ground plane is solid because it's built off the trackers, right? All right, tab out of that. Here's our ground plane. Okay, so let's jump back into our camera. Let's take a look at that. Not bad, right? This gives us a good base to work with. So I jump out of that. And then we can go ahead and just, build off of this, basically jump into edge mode, click this edge here. And let's say I can just rotate it on the Z, right? Hold down shift to get those, that accurate movement. And then I'm going to go GX, pull it out just like that. Okay. Same thing here. I'm going to line this up, rotate Z, line it up straight to our ground plane here. Zoom in a little bit so I can get that. I'm going to go GY. There we go. And just pull that forward. This guy here, I'm going to go rotate Z just to kind of get something lined up. Okay. And I'm going to grab this guy back here too and select him while holding shift, and then just go GX and just slide those guys off to the side there like that. Okay, so we basically just extended our path here. And that's looking solid. Nice. Okay, good. So now we need to basically test out. Just I like to make a hard copy to really see how tight this is really sitting. Now, one thing we need to do first, if we click on render right now, I put this here. Here's our layers. You see, we got these layers. We got background layer and foreground layer. And the reason why we want this here, the background layer is going to be stuff like shadows and holdouts. That's going to go on there. That's not going to be seen. We want to put our shadow on. This is our shadow catcher. The foreground stuff is going to be what we're going to actually see. So my character, my man, is actually on the foreground layer right now. On the background layer here, which is going to be the ground, I want this to be the shadow. Okay. Right now, it's not a shadow catcher. We got to turn it on. Scroll down over here. Click on this. Scroll down here to visibility, shadow catcher. Boom. Now it's a shadow catcher. But we're not seeing any light because we got to set up our lights here, right? We don't have any lights right now in our scene. Well, I have an HDR, but what I want to do here is let me kill that and let's get our lighting quickly set up here. Actually, I really shouldn't even do the lighting first. I want to test my track. I wanted to test my track out and see how solid it was. So let's go ahead and set that up. I'm actually turn that on just because I like to have that on there. What we need to do, go over to view right here, render image, render viewport animation. Click on that. Now I already had my files output saved in the beginning. So now I know exactly where this is going to be saved. So just let it do its thing and then we'll come back and check our result. All right, that is finished rendering out. Go ahead and close that. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up to render and then I'm going to go to view animation and it's going to pop open my view player that I have chosen. I've chosen a different one than the standard one. I've chosen the DJV here. I have another video where I talk about this more in depth, so you might want to take a look at that video. But quickly here, let's let this buffer out. This DJV basically allows me to play EXR files, and it does a very fantastic job at it too. So it's really quick and easy for me to just view because I work a lot in EXRs. All right, so that's finished buffering. Here's the moment of truth. Let's see if this really worked. And I think that is sitting there really solid, guys. That's a really solid track. Look at that. Fantastic. And what I'm paying attention to is like these corners here, these little corners, is it slipping? And to me, that is stuck tack like concrete. So I think we're basically A-okay. We are good. Track is completed. This is where the fun begins now.